What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Wednesday, January 17th, a delightful Wednesday, January 17th, if I do say so myself. Even though it's cloudy out here in SoCal, it is still at least in the 50s and not below that. I've got a sick crew. We're going to break down Dynamite today. It's going to be a blast. I am stoked to get into it myself here. Let's talk about it. I'm your host today, Clark Taylor. Let's first start by introducing, I'm going to send this all the way over to the UK, right across the Atlantic Ocean, out of the gates, to my good buddy, David Sheldon. Good to have you. As always, our AEW reviewer. How are you on this Wednesday afternoon?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me once again to break down AEW Dynamite. It is absolutely freezing over here in the UK. I feel like those snowstorms that were impacting the wrestling last week will soon make their way here because it is absolutely bitter. Hence why I'm in a very thick, very warm coat. But very excited to talk about Dynamite, an interesting show. And yeah, let's get on with it.
Absolutely stoked to get into it. And also shout out Drizzy, by the way. He's over in Louisville and it's freezing there too. Furnace broke last night. He did the show basically in a Snuggie. It was impressive. On off the air, I got to give a shout out to Drizzy for that. Speaking of fighting the cold in the winter. But speaking of not fighting the cold in the winter, in the same county as I, not only do we have Carter Crisp, we have the pleasure of, for the first time in many weeks on this show, we are graced with the presence of the man, the myth himself, Carty Carnett. And I got to ask you, Mr. Carnett, how are you doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon?
You know, Clark, I was doing all right until Mr. Ben Allison sent me here. I believe we were supposed to start at right about 12 o'clock. I was unaware that Mr. Ian Rotten and his band of Mud Show hooligans were producing this show. And me and Mr. Ben are very dissatisfied at the lack of professionalism, not only on this show, but in the wrestling industry in general. And we will be addressing it today, all day.
100%. And I have two things I got to mention myself. It is 100% on production that we went 5 minutes late.
Is this an Outlaw Mud Show?
And then the second one is that I am the producer of this show. So other than that, I do have to introduce our next panelist. He's out in Florida, but in our hearts. He's the tri-state, New York City, New Jersey legend himself, Bret Sternberg. How are you doing on this afternoon?
Gosh, I'm doing pretty good. Carty Cornett, David, hope you're having a great Wednesday afternoon. Same with you, Clark. Actually, it's a little chilly down here in Florida, so all the United States right now is a little chilly right now. But I am excited to review Dynamite tonight. We have some good matches. We have some bad matches. We'll see. We'll get into it. But, yeah, production today was not on point, man.
That one is definitely on the producer who is, oh yeah, that's me. But let's get into the comments. Speaking of production, let's talk about Bobby Batito. Shout out Bobby. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you are the man, Bobby. We got another one here from our good buddy Anthony Manzano. I like Hook, but I don't think he's ready for the major title just yet. He needs to win the television or the Continental Classic title before defeating Joe. We are going to get into that, my friend. No question today. We got another comment here from Shoddy, which is Tuesday Night Delight in the comments for this show. Needs something to kill time for this late shift at work. Glad we could help out, Shoddy, and thanks for tuning in. The Tuesday Night Delight himself in the building. Okay, we got a bunch more comments here that we will try to get into at some point, but let's actually get into tonight's Dynamite, which I could not be more stoked for. I think this is kind of a bounce back Dynamite. Last week's was a bit of a funky show. I enjoyed it. A lot of good wrestling, but a lot of negatives that came out of it. As far as conjecture was concerned, I feel like discussion online was, a little bit overcritical of a homecoming show last week. Whereas, our good buddy David Sheldon over there in the corner there reviewed the show, and I enjoyed a lot of the wrestling on that show. So it is a funny one. When I say bounce back Dynamite, I don't mean necessarily bounce back from a bad show. I mean, just let's get everybody on the same page somehow. And it's an opportunity to do so. We have an outstanding card on tap. And not only that, we've got the Young Bucks talking, which is something that they do a lot of over on Being the Elite and have done quite a bit of over time as the EVPs, as the tag team champions, as founders of this company that we all really enjoy watching on Wednesday and Saturday nights. Tonight they speak, and everybody and their mother is thinking this is the conversation about Sting's last match. And so, David, you are our resident AEW reviewer, so I got to toss this question to you. Are the Young Bucks calling out Sting, and are they the correct opponents for Sting and Darby?
Are they calling out Sting? Yes. Yes, I don't see why you'd have them come out to face off with Sting and Darby Allin if that's not then the plan for Revolution. Are they the right opponents? I don't know. I was surprised when they came out. They were not who I anticipated would be the final opponent at all. With that said, though, I don't really know who I thought they would be. I mean, Sting versus Darby made sense to me, but we haven't seen, from my recollection, Sting wrestle a singles match in AEW, so maybe he is more comfortable in the tag environment, at his age. We have to remember he's already medically retired once. So whatever keeps him healthy and happy is, of course, first priority. I think the Young Bucks are the best chance that Sting will have to go out on the best match possible, because there are very few teams in wrestling as good as the Young Bucks are. If I'm being honest, I would have possibly done FTR versus Sting and Darby. I can't even remember. I think we might have had that before, but I think that would have been a really fun way to finish them off, or to put over a younger team on the way out. But I do think that the Bucks are brilliant wrestlers. I think they will be very entertaining. We've already seen they've got good chemistry from Forbidden Door 2022 with the 8-man tag that they were a part of. So yeah, I think that it's certainly not a bad shout. I've seen people online be critical of it, and while I think it's like, would you have rathered it be Ric Flair? Because that was a possibility I thought they might do at one point as well, was bring Flairy out of retirement for another crack. So
wild.
No more, please, no more.
No.
So I think of the teams that are left, I think the Young Bucks is certainly one of the better options that you can have. And yeah, I think it'd be a really, really good match. It's just whether the Bucks retire Sting, or whether Darby's the person to get the pin in the match. I don't think Sting's going to win on his own terms. I don't think he'd do that. But, is Sting the one staring at the lights? I think having it be the Bucks possibly makes it a little bit more kind of up in the air as to whether Sting loses, which always makes it more fun.
I couldn't agree more. And one thing I will say to your point here, the fascinating part is actually how they booked the match itself. Once it's slated, right? Because if the Bucks can capitalize off retiring Sting, this is an opportunity that the Bucks as a tag team likely don't have in many other areas to accomplish something that's kind of unique to a tag squad.
Yeah.
And if they do retire Sting, building off of that is something that I think for the Bucks is potential to have a legitimate return to glory, in the sense that they're not the cliche that I feel like they've in a way turned into inside of AEW's ecosystem at this moment.
Yeah. I wonder with this, I have a feeling that this match, they could put the tag titles into it. I don't think they will, but I get the feeling this might main event the show, because the entire show is being built around this is Sting's retirement match. Like, this is that's what every promo for Revolution is. See Sting's last match, and it sold really well. So I could see this being the main event of the show. So if it is the main event of the show, I could really see them giving Sting and Darby the tag titles for a few weeks. just to say that they've done it. You know, whether I want to see that is a different question because that impacts Bill and Ricky. But I wouldn't put it out of the question.
I agree, and you know what? It does not bother me. If
bother
that's the
me.
route, it does not bother me. To
Wouldn't
me,
bother me.
it makes some sense. It would not bother me in the least because you put Sting's name on that title. Darby being a multi-time champion, especially with the TNT belt, obviously, as we've seen in AEW, historically speaking, that's a record that will stand up in a way that may not stand up to the month run as you kind of presented there, right? You know, month and a half at best, but at the same time, in the record books, it's just a good one to have, and I don't mind that in the least. Bret, I gotta ask you about this one. I know you were at Winter is Coming when Sting debuted. We're talking about now a few years later, and potentially the Young Bucks being the foe in the retirement match. Is that something that you have on your bingo card?
No. And I'm saying that because it just doesn't make much sense to me. I get where they're coming from, the biggest tag team against Sting and Darby, but I would have much rather have seen a singles match. Almost along the lines of, I'm going to go ahead and compare this to the brother versus brother match that Cody had against Dustin. And yes, Dustin is still a good wrestler. He still has his physique and his athleticism. I think Sting is has a little less than that, but I don't think it would have been a bad match. Yeah, it would have been a little slower paced, but I think they could have still told an amazing story. It could have translated to the audience, and I think it would have done really well as a singles match. I think Sting deserves a singles match as well for his retirement match, in my opinion. For the Young Bucks or the Grown Bucks, whatever we're calling them now, because they're wearing suits. So I don't think that this was the right way to come back from in a return sense. But again, by saying that, I would like to just see Sting go out in a singles match, and in a sense, like how he came in to wrestling as a singles competitor.
I hear you with the singles thing. I do think we're at a stage, health-wise, we do know what happened in the ring with Rollins, right? We saw the whole documentary, though,
Yeah.
and I think that's a large reason why they're wrestling as a tag. Now, in a perfect world, I'm with you. A singles match to go out on his back, classic, the way that Austin did, the way that you're supposed to put somebody over. I love that idea. I do think it has to be a tag team for safety reasons because of his age. We're blessed with Sting. Yes, I get he did a splash off of the multiple, and it's wild. The guy, you know, he's got a little bit of Terry Funk in him as of late. He's middle-aged and crazy at this point, and I respect it in every way. Carter, though, I have to ask you, how are you booking Sting's last match? Wait a minute, we still have Cardi Carnett in the building. Mr. Carnett, I do have to ask you, actually, how would you book Sting's final match? And is it against the Young Bucks, or is it too many flipperoos?
Well, Clark, let me tell you something. You ever go to kids' hour at the swimming pool and see an adult swimming with all the little kids? Yeah, does it look a little out of place? That's exactly what this is. And I know we're anti-conspiracy theory here, but I've got a little conspiracy for you, sir. I think the Buckaroos are responsible for every single issue I have with professional wrestling. These trampoline boys, they roll in from the rec center in Reseda, and all of a sudden you have an old man doing a swanton dive onto a coffin from the top of an 18-foot ladder, in which he has no place. David was right. He should be wrestling Ric Flair. He should be wrestling Dustin Rhodes. He should be wrestling a million other people other than being in a 2-on-2 spot fest with the three craziest guys in the company. I mean, Mr. Ibushi, both his ankles are broken. Not one, not well, he doesn't have three, but if he had a third, it would probably be broken from the trampoline boys. bouncing around, treating it like it's a bounce house at a quinceañera in Reseda, and it's all wrong. It's all wrong. It needs to stop. So that's why I'm here. All right, sorry about that. But I mean, somebody needs to speak up on behalf of worker safety, because I see no professionalism. And Clark, you said Ian Ross is not here. I am not convinced. I know he is behind you in the background somewhere.
Mr. Cornette, I cannot say that I saw a quinceañera reference on this show happening.
Let me tell
But
you
I
something.
do appreciate the insight, to say the very least. Even my own mom is dying laughing over here. Shout out, Lori Taylor.
Ridiculous. 2 ankles, sir. You just signed him and you broke both his ankles. There seems to be a common denominator here, and it's the Buckaroos.
We got Mr. Cornette. We actually have a positive comment over here from one of our friends. Dang it, what can I pull it up over here on Instagram? He can't stop laughing. It's from Comic Dad 65. And yeah, no, I'm in the same boat, because I don't know if you can break down a scenario better than that. I don't know much about quinceañeras in Reseda, but I do know that it can't be good no matter what, at least at this point. For the Young Bucks, if they have to take on Sting and Darby. I'm sorry. I can't even. That was too spot on. Oh, man.
It is what it is, man.
Okay, guys.
Injuries. These
all right, audience.
are working overtime.
We're gonna move on briefly. We're gonna talk about the virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo, who's taken on Anna Jay. Anna Jay's been, in my eyes, an outstanding performer in AEW, an outstanding prospect. A lot of heel babyface switcheroos. The use thing at Cornette has just ruined me for the rest of the show almost. A lot of switcheroos as far as the heels and babyface stuff is concerned when it comes to Anna Jay. But no, we got Purrazzo, Anna Jay tonight. I think it'll be a slugfest. Deonna can work with anybody in the world. Anna Jay is an immensely talented athlete. I'm excited about this match. David, I wanted to get your thoughts on the match. I believe you're reviewing this one tonight too as well. What are your thoughts going in? And how do you see both heading out of this? Because Deonna, I feel like personally, and this is just maybe a me thing, but is being pushed towards the world title picture, or at least the TBS title picture in some way. And I feel like there has to be some sort of execution in that regard in tonight's match. And I want to get your thoughts on the whole thing.
I think it's going to be Tony and Deonna at Revolution, or if not Revolution, a little bit before. They're bringing each other up in segments. It all seems Tony Storm is on commentary for this match, so that kind of tells you all you need to know on that front. Anna Jay, I think it's been in a little bit of a rut recently. I was looking back over some of the last few matches that she's had to refresh my memory. She's wrestled a lot on TV, particularly on Rampage. Quite a lot of kind of underwhelming, quite sloppy matches. I was surprised to see the reaction to her match against Julia Hart on Battle for the Belts was incredibly negative. I thought the match was fine myself. I gave it a 3-star rating when I reviewed the show. But I think that Jay is a prospect, and that there is room for improvement there. Deonna's great. The match with Red Velvet on Collision was boring, but that was more indicative of a boring show, to be honest. Deonna can really work, and I think we are building to Deonna and Tony, and I think that match will be really good. The thing that most excites me about this match is the fact we've got Tony on commentary, because I do think Tony Storm is the funniest character in professional wrestling right now. Sorry, R-Truth, you are a close second.
I could not agree more.
But so I'm excited to see what silly nonsense she'll pull out on commentary. I don't think this will go more than 6-7 minutes, to be honest, which is a shame. But your one women's match on the card, but it's AEW Women's Division booking for you. This hopefully will further Deonna and Tony, and I think Jay, to be honest with you, is just a placeholder to have Deonna beat somebody on Dynamite, because that's kind of how she's been used elsewhere on TV.
I hear you there. I will say though, virtuoso versus Timeless. The promos, chef's kiss. Bret hit the nail on the head there. It's no doubt. This is an interesting comment that we have here from our good buddy Bobby Petito, which is I could see Mariah May show up after this match between Deonna Purrazzo and Anna Jay. That would be some funk. I wouldn't mind that. Maybe just Mariah May and not Tony.
It'd be quite funny if Mariah took Tony's spot on commentary and just refused to acknowledge it through the entire match. Like, Tony's not here tonight, so I'm gonna do it instead. But I think this is quite a slow burn thing for Mariah and Tony. I think there's one of two ways it goes. I think Mariah either gains Tony's trust or Mariah eventually snaps. And I kind of hope she gains her trust, because I think that will be funnier. And you've got more months of mileage with that than just hot-shotting. Because Mariah May is fantastic. She's in my opinion, she could be a huge star for AEW's women's division. Brilliant wrestler and really.
She's not just good; she's really good.
Really good.
Like really good.
Yeah. When I watched her debut match, she hit a drop kick, and I was like, "Yep, she's from Japan. She's wrestled in Japan, hasn't she?" She's got the Okada level drop kick. Great, nice.
The work is so quality, and then you add the charisma.
Yes,
right. That's the brilliance of Mariah May in my eyes. That's where Mariah May can separate herself from the rest of a division, any division, not just the AEW. It doesn't matter where she is. That's where she can separate herself. Is the work is, like you said, is that an Okada drop kick? Like that is a serious comp.
Yep.
Comparison. Sorry for the kids out there, I guess, or for the adults. I mean, but you know what I mean? Like it's no joke. It is, the drop kick is that good. The work is that good. And then you add the charisma. And that's where Mariah May has something special, and I'm curious to see what she does with this and how she factors into this entire equation. Myself, right, David? You broke it down perfectly. When it comes to Deonna and Anna Jay tonight, it's really going to be more about what we see, I think, post-match. The match will be excellent. I have no doubt about that, right? We have great performers, but the match is going to unfortunately be, in a weird way, about what happens afterward. I think without question, it makes a ton of sense. Let's move on, though, to the boss man's favorite, as he calls him, Christian Cage. But Christian Cage, in my eyes, against Dustin Rhodes, TNT title match. Once again, we've got Cody's big bro going to bat for that TNT title. Once again, never held it. Cody held it, pretty much just took it whenever he wanted, I guess, from what I can remember. I'm sorry. What did we want to talk about? That was a joke. But seriously, Christian Cage, Dustin Rhodes. This match to me is one that can steal the show because it is Christian and Dustin Rhodes. Who in the world had on, speaking of bingo cards, I brought up a bingo card earlier in the show. Who in the world had on their bingo card? Yeah, we're going to get Christian versus Dustin Rhodes in a mid-card title match on a Wednesday night Dynamite in 2024. Yep. Take everybody's money on that one because nobody had that on their bingo card. I'm excited about the match. Bret, your call. Who's your pick? Obviously, I think we know you've got a father figure here in Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Shenanigans? Are we in store for some shenanigans, Bret?
I think I'm going to go ahead and do Ben a favor here since he's not here. Christian Cage is everyone's father. And he deserves to be respected. And he needs the respect. Now, I know he is going into tonight's match with Dustin Rhodes, who is slightly older than him. But I do believe that this is going to be a slow-burning match. This is going to Christian's going to almost break apart or take apart Dustin to the point where he is so defeated that Christian is almost standing over him, watching him in a pool of blood, in a sense, like we saw with the brother versus brother match. But I don't mean to refer that again. I do think Christian is going to win. I'm going to add this one last thing. that would be amazing for me, and I would die laughing. This should be an adoption match. This should be an adoption match where Christian then becomes Dustin Rhodes' father. Sign me up.
It is it's a wild pick. Shoddy mentioned in the comments that Dustin apparently resembles this guy, Gold Dust. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him. He used to apparently watch him as a kid.
You guys want to know some trivia? When was the last time Christian and Gold Dust fought each other in a singles match? Was
WWF
in 2003, 21 years ago. Sorry to make you all feel really old. That 2003 was 21 years ago. I wasn't born the last time these guys wrestled. This will be fun.
I was 12, and that's embarrassing. But that's
Clark the Mark saw it. Clark the Mark.
I watched it. Clark as a Mark. We got another comment here from Numero One Superflyer, good buddy. I expect Christian to win. However, we got some sort of tension between Killswitch and Christian, like some sort of an argument. I don't mind that either. If the Killswitch is the direction, it needs to be the direction. I don't know why we need to change the name to Killswitch. It's still Luchasaurus to me. It's a little like Pete Dunne.
I'm just envisioning him having an argument with his own finisher, and so too much preconditioning to Christian and WWE. I just imagine no. You will go. You know.
By the way, Shad was on the same page as me during this time. He was 11, being a G, and so yeah. I mean, I was 12, so obviously I'm older. Shad, sorry, man, but I do appreciate the comment. I was 1 year older.
Well, I was 10, so you were.
My parents got on it sooner. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's move on to our main event. Not quite yet. Not quite our main event of the evening. Wait a minute. Are we moving on to our main event of the evening? No, we're not.
Nope.
We're moving on to the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage.
We could pretty much skip over. No, I'm joking.
No. I'm sorry. We have one more segment before the main event of the evening. We got the Gates of Agony. We got Brian Cage. We got Jay White. We got the Guns. We got the Trios titles on the line. The Trios division to me was something that was nothing short of delightful when we were getting custom gear with the Scissor Me titles from the Acclaimed. Feels a bit stale lately, personally. Just a skosh. I love the concept of the Trios titles, though. I'll put my name on it. I love New Japan Trios titles. The idea of Trios and a Trios division, I am all for. Carter, this is just Carter, by the way, guys. Carter, I got to ask you about this one. What were your thoughts, or what are your thoughts headed into this Trios title matchup? Who do you have going over and why?
So we had to get rid of Cardi Cornette. He was being a little negative. I think both Clark and Ian Rotten are doing a great job producing the show. But I mean, you know, when AEW got Ring of Honor, you know, there's kind of an issue of too many titles. That's why my boy back here got rid of one of them. But I mean, I think this is a great place for the Guns, great place for Jay White. After the Continental Classic and after challenging MJF, I think Jay White had a lot of momentum and he needed somewhere to take it. I am in the Bang Bang Gang. I got the Guns boys. I got the Gun Club, Bullet Club, taking this Trios Championship. And I actually, in spite of all the negativity flying around on this show about bounce houses and rec centers and PWG and all, I think this is good booking. I think it's a great place to put your guys. I mean, we can be critical of AEW being too similar to New Japan, but this is an example of guys need a place to go. You kind of have an extra title. You don't want them to challenge the Acclaim because it messes up the story. Have them get the Ring of Honor Trios title. And, you know, I think it's, in spite of whatever Cardi Cornette has to say about me being Mr. CZW, I think this is great booking. I think this is going to be a great, it's not the main event, but co-main, whatever you want to call it. I think it's going to be fun. And I'm sorry, Ben. I have no problem with 6 people being in the ring, 8 people being in the ring. Yeah, I have 4-on-4. I think it's all fun to me personally. But my cousin and the owner of this website may have a few comments to make about that.
I hear you on that. I will say I'm a huge fan of multi-person tag matches. I think the trios division was well developed. I hope it returns to form.
I have
Is
but one
the way I
concern.
would put it.
I have but one concern with this, which is that as one of 4 people that watches Ring of Honor every week, Gates of Agony and Brian Cage are typically quite a big feature of the Ring of Honor program because they'll have trios matches for their titles on Ring of Honor TV. And I do think that Jay White and the Guns will win the title tonight, but I'm just fearful that then means that's one less title on Ring of Honor TV because I don't see Jay White going down to Ring of Honor to defend it there. So, and that's that title gone. That's like Eddie's not very on the show very much. And then you're left with like, God bless Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher is carrying Ring of Honor right now, and Athena, but Athena's not been on for a few weeks, but God bless Kyle Fletcher.
Can somebody explain Kyle Fletcher to me? Because I feel bad for the dude. He's unbelievably talented, half of a tag team. And I get that he's super talented and young and whatnot, but I'm afraid he's going to get like theory pigeonholed at this spot where he's been for the last year and a half.
I mean, in fairness, he's been given the Ring of Honor TV title after Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Who couldn't have put that prestige of that belt any lower when he basically just trashed it to the floor and said, I don't want this anymore. And he has had the best match on Ring of Honor TV like 3 weeks in a row, which is not hard. It's it's like being the best Great Khali match. They're slim pickings, but there's
only so many good ones.
There's only so many good ones, and you can count them on one hand every week. No, but every week on Ring of Honor, you get 2 good matches every week. Kyle is typically one of them. So fair play to him.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kyle has exponentially been put in better places this past year to go ahead and elevate, and he's shown that he is that guy. He is that good, and he has that star power, and it needs to be showcased. I don't believe that he needs to be held back anymore by a faction. I think he could be a singles wrestler and go out and do this on his own.
I got to say, though, Shad's in agreement with me here on this. Kyle Fletcher's got the charisma of a cereal box, but he's a great wrestler. I unfortunately have that feeling right now. Yeah. And by the way, if you cook cereal, sometimes it turns into Rice Krispie treats, so you never know.
Very true.
I'm just saying.
Quote that for the podcast, Ben.
Yeah,
if you're listening,
clip
that on a post
with the tricks hat.
Could put it on a quote. You get it in there. That's today's reel.
Also, really quick before we hop into the final, I want ROH to replace Rampage on TV.
Whoa, that'd be wild, but I don't actually hate the idea, but we'll vet that another time.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there.
Show. We have a whole topic, dude. Jeez Louise, you drop a bombshell like that right in the middle of 2 segments.
I need the people's brains.
Respect, Brett. It's a great question, but we don't have time for this. Okay, but seriously, guys, with that note, it is the main event of the evening. For real this time. I pump faked you guys on the 3rd segment. It was a 4-segment show the whole way. We are now talking Samoa Joe defending the AEW World title against the Hookster himself. And if you know me, if you are a consistent viewer of this show, of this program, you know I am the world's #1 hookamaniac. I've been eating my chips, taking my vitamins, saying my prayers, checking my TikTok, all the stuff that Hook tells you to do. I've been on the Hook program because Hookamania is going to run wild. I don't necessarily believe that Hookamania runs wild tonight and wins, but he's going to look excellent. I believe in the Hookster. I truly do. I think the Hookster has the proverbial it factor in a way that's nearly impossible to quantify. He's got it. Not only that, second generation. Oh yeah, and the grappling acumen, the judo moves, the hip tosses, the takedowns, the guy can go. Samoa Joe's going over, but the Hookster is going to show out tonight. And give him his time, my friends. I'm asking you, if you don't even know him, in the words of the great Action Bronson there, give him a shot tonight, because this is going to be a fun match. David, I know you'll be reviewing the match, so I got to ask you about this one. Who do you have going over? What are your opinions on the Hookster?
So who's going over? It's Samoa Joe, isn't it? It is.
It is.
I'm not like I coming from a huge Hook fan. I don't want to see Hook win the title. I don't think anybody really wants to see Hook win the title now. But I'm like, people complained massively when this match got announced, and I don't. It's a TV title defense. Like, Hook's not going to win. If I was paying for Hook versus Samoa Joe as the main event of a pay-per-view, then yes, I probably would have complaints about build not being as strong for Hook and it not being a pay-per-view match they want. But it is literally a TV title defense. Hook will the match. I guarantee you, the match will be built around Hook trying to suplex Samoa Joe, and at the end of the match, Hook will suplex Samoa Joe and do something for a near fall. Hook will get out of the Hook will get out of the red room. Sorry, Joe will get out of the red room and will hit his moves and he'll win. And we'll all have a nice time. I think that the direction for Revolution is Swerve, Hangman, and Joe in a 3-way. But I think for now, give Hook and use this as a chance to have Joe decisively beat Hook. And then have Hook be like, right, I'm going to come and, I'm not going away. I will be back to you, but I'm not good enough yet. So let's go back and let's work my way. Let's actually rise properly, and make it part of the story that he may have got a little bit beyond his means. Because I think the Hook is great, and I've loved Hook since his first debut match. But he has gone off the ball. He's been very on and off for a number of years. Bad booking hasn't helped that because it hasn't given him the stability of card position to be able to climb. He kind of stagnated for a long time, then had a bit of a push and then went back down again. But I do think that Hook's great, and I think that there's loads you can do with him. It's just give him this match as a showcase to remind people that, oh yeah, Hook's really great.
Yeah, the Hookster, I am with you. Hook is really great, and that's the key. I think you couldn't have broken that down better, David. The sense that Hook has to win to prove himself tonight is not the case. Hook has to look excellent in a loss. Shad even mentioned it over here in the comments earlier. He said it that he's got to lose. Where is it? Right here. It's dang, and he said it. It's a
Should
good
be
one.
third up.
Yeah, right here. Hook has the spotlight on him tonight. This is the biggest match and opportunity. He must look strong in defeat. I could not agree more with that sentiment. Bret, I got to ask you your thoughts on the match. I think we're all four in agreement here. Joe's going over, but Hook can really show out tonight. This is an opportunity, and if he seizes it, sky's the limit, and it's always been.
Yeah, so I completely agree with both of you so far. I do believe that Joe is going to go over ultimately, obviously. And that's not something that I am taking down on Hook or his ability in ring whatsoever, because I do think it is very good for his age, and he is an up-and-coming talent that will be mentioned in later years. I just feel like obviously this is not his time. And this is to basically showcase how tough Hook really is without going. I don't think this match is going to. I think it's going to be a slugfest. And I think Hook is going to really hold his own like his father Taz did in the past. And I think that the two are going to go at it. And Joe's going to be almost surprised of how much he could take. And he's going to be also surprised of how much Hook is doing to him. But at the end of the day, I think Joe's going to outsmart him because Hook is young. And I think that's how the story will be told in the match, to be completely honest with you. So, yes, Joe will go over, but Hook will look amazing in this match. Like you said, they will make him look amazing in this match. And I love what they're doing with the spotlight, almost it being like a Batman nostalgia type of thing where people look up and they see the Hook sign and it's like, oh my God, Hook's coming. So I think it's something cool that they're doing. I think that they're cooking right now, like we've all talked about, but Joe goes over tonight.
I could not agree more. I think you nailed it too. And speaking of bat signs, I just saw one myself. Unfortunately, we have lost Carter Crisp for the afternoon, but Mr. Carnett has returned to finish the show with us. And I have to ask him his thoughts on the results of this match between the Hookster and, of course, Samoa Joe, an all-time favorite. Mr. Carnett.
Now, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. I'm hearing that y'all gentlemen think this match is going to be competitive. Now we've gotten all this build-up. This has been nothing but a build-up for a squash match. Now, what's going to happen is Samoa Joe's going to enter the ring. He's going to pick up his little teeny bopper. He's going to drop him on his head for a 1, 2, 3. I guarantee you this thing won't last 25 minutes. I'll be surprised if it lasts 20. Now, Joe is one of the last true professionals in this AEW locker room. I don't care how much Aikido, Mr. Hookerino, Judo, whatever you want to call it. There's a reason why Tito Ortiz is not the WWE Heavyweight Champion. This is wrestling. This isn't judo. This isn't MMA. This is wrestling, and it's real. And let me tell you something, Mr. Hook, the 14th Jonas brother. All right? Son, you're going to get dropped right on your head tonight, and Joe is going to show you what real grappling looks like. It ain't a hip toss. It's a coquina clutch, sir. Thank you.
Oh, my. We can't thank you enough for your insight, Mr. Carnett.
I was fine until the 14th Jonas brother. That was what got me.
That got me.
He got me right before the Jonas brother, and then the Jonas brother was like a double down. It was like 2 knives in your back at once. It's like,
He's a little boy. He's about to get suplexed.
He is on absolute fire today, Mr. Carnett. I can't thank you enough for your insight on this match. I will say, as far as the Hookster is concerned, I do believe that this is still the biggest opportunity of his career, and actually his wrestling acumen would be something that you might find entertaining, but it's hard to deny.
Shouty Carnett doesn't find anything entertaining.
What?
Nothing but real wrestling. Let me tell you something. Nothing but suplexes, slams, and I'm not seeing that with this little boy.
Not enough.
It's the only move he has. The suplexes are the only thing.
His entire moveset is suplexes. Is the best.
It's not believable. Is the thing. He's a small man. I need a big boy.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I do. While I understand, I will say this about the Hookster, and obviously metabolism wise, you did bring that up. And I would gain weight myself personally, but I still respect the dedication to Chips, Mr. Carnett. That's one thing that I would. He's dedicated to the chips
And the snacks.
and continues to eat them. He's clearly a snacker. Reminds me of the dude in high school that doesn't have a whole lot to say. Usually sits by his locker, probably locker on the low side too, because he doesn't have to stand on it.
I will say he's probably going to get a sponsorship deal earlier than anyone else.
But you don't want to mess with that kid, is what I would say about Hook. I love the character. I love the fact that he's second generation with Taz. Was he overexposed early?
I thought we were talking about Shouty Carnett then.
No, yeah, a little.
With
I'm a little
Taz?
confused too, but
I was just going, sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking Hook. I'm talking Hook.
Sorry.
Hook. Still talking Hook. I think the Hookster shows out tonight. I think the Hookster shows us what he's made of. I love the entrance. I've loved the entrance since they did it. I do hear you a little bit on I mean, it is an outlaw mud show, but you know, there are maybe some sentiments about him being handed some stuff. But I can't thank Mr. Carnett enough for tuning in with us today, joining us this afternoon, this fine afternoon, in fact. And not only that, I have to also thank our head of AEW reviewing, David Sheldon, Mr. the King of Florida, New Jersey, and New York. You talk about
I don't claim Florida, but thank you. I appreciate it.
No, he's in Florida though. I'm just doing sorry, man. I was just doing geography. But Bret Sternberg, thank you everybody for joining us. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, it helps us out a ton. Not only that, check us out on Instagram. Check out all of our shows. We got tons of shows. We got other shows, good ones. Like
5
Off
stars,
the Air.
thumbs
We've
up.
got Take It to the Table. We've got all kinds of fun stuff that you guys gotta be checking out if you're not checking them out. We can't thank everybody enough for tuning in. It's been a blast of a show today. Tomorrow, not the same time. It's the one day a week. It's not the same time. It's Throwback Thursday. That'll be 3 p.m. in the East. That's going to be 11 o'clock in the UK, middle of the night in other places. And then, oh yeah, that's noon in Hawaii. Thank you everybody once again for tuning in. Check you guys soon and have a great Wednesday afternoon.